Hey folks, Larson Halleck here. Welcome back to PUAHoles. A long time ago, I did a video on some shitheel, Derek Rake. Yeah, that's it. And I mentioned how much of his work was inspired by the work of another guy named In10sity. Well, guess what we're doing today? Just to clarify, this is probably not to be confused with the In10sity dance troupe, nor is it to be confused with this guy who writes poetry. Obviously, an MPUA doesn't need to know how to dance or write or have any other skills. He just puts his shit on it and panties just spontaneously combust. Holy dad bod, Batman. I sure hope the Octoberman method works because he's gonna need it. Anyway, I Google image searched for Intense and for some reason got a picture of Mystery being licked by some douche wearing a faux hawk. Amazing how I didn't put that in my Mystery video. Who is Intense really? Well, Intense, real name Blake Richards, he was in Neil Strauss's The Game, which I suppose I should read at some point if I'm going to be doing this show, where he was known as Two-Timer. His Octoberman sequence was forbidden NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. But seeing as I don't have the game, we can instead get the meager information I could find from an interview with Intense, done by Thundercat. Ho! Thundercat, being a guy who hasn't updated his website in 7 years, and the plurality of content on his YouTube channel consists of making PUAs in WWE video game creator wrestler modes and having them fight. Frankly, the fact that he's not using No Mercy as his source engine offends me in and of itself. And yes, his website's logo is in fact actually the Thundercat's logo. Ooh, it's his first major interview, and these techniques are not to be used lightly. You may get more than you bargained for. So in his interview with Lion-O, Intense states that he was macking on girls from the time he was in kindergarten. He also claims to have dated the whole group of girls in 6th grade, which makes me wonder why he even needs pickup artistry at all since he seems to be a natural at it. He is first introduced to proper pickup in 1988 when he hears a radio interview with Ross Jeffries. Okay, I'm seriously going to do him at some point in the future. Don't you worry, people. And I quote, "It wasn't caveman at all. It was just, I don't even remember what I did. I was just doing what I usually did, but just doing it with a different attitude that I was making no apologies. It was like maybe before I might have been hesitant, held back, whatever. But after I read that, it was like I was just saying to myself, okay, I am not making any apologies for my manly desires. So you were timid and afraid, but you just said you were lifting up girls' skirts by the time you were 5. You know, you gotta be one or the other, Intense." Anyway, he goes on to describe, oh, look at that, a bunch of dorks with fake names and obtuse jargon. Bucky, Swing Cat, LA99. And Hoonah. I know what Hoonah is. It's a fake pseudo-religion that claims to be Polynesian polytheism, but was in fact made up by a bunch of greedy white people. 60s bullshit combines with early 2000s bullshit for the new millennium. Well, we're in good hands, people. And they were talking about this technique called Lome Lome, the laying of hands. There were 3 elements needed in this practice. It is a healing art. It's a sort of mutual trance where you need to have 3 elements. The first being touch, the laying on of hands. The second was verbal suggestion. Along with the touch came verbal suggestions, and they were doing this hundreds of years ago. And the third element, visualization, where both people visualize the energy flow between the two. So I kind of used that as a guideline, and I thought, well, what would happen if we used this, but we used it giving women massages, and instead of it being a healing energy, it was a arousal energy, a red energy. You mentioned the color red. It has unconscious implications. The color of love. The color of romance and passion. So I tried it several times, and it was like boom, boom, boom. You know, it was amazing. Okay, so Intense believes that he does in fact have magical empath powers. Not that I doubt masseurs get lots of women, I'm sure they do, but when somebody claims they can shoot arousal energy and red color energy into somebody, I'm gonna call bullshit. Oh, well, at least Intense is somewhat skeptical. He doesn't believe in value eliciting, whatever the hell that is. And then, holy crap, he actually describes hands-on techniques for making a woman orgasm. He goes on to describe the G-spot, right above the cervix, the anterior fornix, and he actually describes how women's uteruses can be tilted one way or the other, and that can affect sexual arousal. Wow, that's actually correct, Intense. Oh my god, this is a first for PUAHoles. A pickup artist who actually has techniques for doing sex properly. Huh, this might not actually be completely terrible. Anyway, that's one thing. When you put your two fingers inside really deep, you feel that space. You massage it in and out. But then what I do is I get my other hand and I put it on top of their pubic triangle to where I'm pressing my hands together and I'm milking that whole tissue there. I have my mouth there too, working the clitoris. So as you can see, Intense has probably had sex fairly often, so his techniques can be said to probably be not too bad. In contrast to Thundercat, who I can just tell is hanging on to Intense's every word, like a nerd that was allowed to sit at the Chad table. Wow, you're basically milking her for all she's worth. Thundercat, CAW leagues. And lest you also forget, very, very, very few PUAs ever write about how to actually do sex. So, as I am now cautiously optimistic, let us look at Intense's original material, and it's the October Man pattern. Last sigh. Okay, and it's pleasure loops in NLP. It's the same crap as usual, push and pull loops. Every time you go to pain, you anchor it away by gesturing or look away. Remember to really bring out her pleasurable states by patterning, or just trance hijack, or create that into filters, SRT, just as used in the new SS model. Hijack SRT? What the hell is that? Imagine a flaming ball of fire, then freezing it until it becomes a ball of ice, then heating it up till it ignites. The contrast must be that intense and rapid fire. No fluff talk if possible. If you're familiar with fractionation, you would have already noticed that at each pass, you were building response potential on both polarities. Flaming? Oh, I had high hopes for you, Intense. But then you go into this David Riker crap. Oh, wait, I guess they were both Ross Jeffries proteges. Oh, wait, now there's February Man? I don't know why they haven't done the other 10 months. Seems pretty logical to me. He gives an actual step-by-step pattern on how this works, so at least he's better than Derek Rake and the other assholes who do NLP. The hospital pattern. A. Did you ever know someone that went into a hospital and never came back? B. It's amazing how often people go and don't come back. C. If you like what we have, remember that I could leave you and not come back. Now you just capture the pieces into a nice little story. If you can use touch or smell, the anchors are stronger. Did you hear about insert famous person who went to the hospital for something and never came out? By the way, I had a dog that I loved and one day it just disappeared. She was so good to me. She would wait for me after school and she would kiss me and knock me down. We would roll on the floor and play all kinds of games. We would chase each other. She would fetch for me. She even slept in my room. What could you do with this? But then one day, she wasn't there. You have no idea what it feels like to lose someone like that. For days, you look for her, you post posters, you post rewards. No matter what you do, it's over, gone out of your life. Okay, I honestly doubt this works. I am not inclined to run up to some random woman and tell her about my dog running away out of the blue, because I don't want to embarrass myself. Am I just stupid and this actually does work? Like, hey, my dog died and I was sad, you want to bang? Does that work? I don't know. And then we come to his magnum opus, game. Game can be further subdivided into outer and inner game. Yeah, dude, it's just like Tibetan Buddhism. Seriously, it's not that fucking complicated, people. Inner game is mindset, outer game is skill set. Mindset is good to have, confidence is good to have, but believe me, if you think you're just going to develop mindset, that will not change the fact that you're a fat, unemployed neckbeard. Oh, good, there's diagrams and flowcharts. All we need is a fake oriental name and we'll be styling. The secret to 100% success. This is where beliefs and rules come in. For instance, if you believe that being successful with women was about learning something about every interaction and improving your game, then you could never fail. Then you would focus on success and that would lead to more success. There's probably a grain of truth to that, but in the same way that there's a grain of truth to, like, The Secret. A grain of truth surrounded by mountains of bullshit. I'll tell you the grain of truth. Focusing helps if you focus and pursue the goal. You must put in that sweat equity of approaching dozens of women, and gradually you'll get better at it. Just focusing itself won't do shit, and I know some of you are saying, what idiot would think you only need to focus and women will come to you? A lot. I was a teenage incel. I can tell you that many do just expect to have women come to them if they focus hard. He gives good advice, like namely that you have to make yourself into a prize for a woman, which means increasing your quality as a man. That's fair enough. But then he goes into 7 principles that can change your life. 7 principles from Huna. Now let me tell you a little about an ancient philosophy called Huna. Huna was around for thousands of years in Polynesia. No, it wasn't. I don't truck with fake New Age crap, so we'll just skip this. The Blake Richards propulsion system of seduction. Is it, in fact, seducing a woman while flying at her on a jetpack? I can only assume yes. This is basically light touching and steering the conversation to sex to get her horny. There. I just summed it up in less than a minute. But no, he has to have this stupid diagram and flowchart and stuff. And then he quotes mystery with early game, mid game, and end game. I still don't believe in this rigid segregation. It's not boxing with different ranges of punching. It's just game. You start with introductions and you work until the sex. But at least Blake knows that guys who are well dressed and groomed have better chances of sex than some greasy nerd. Next section. The secret way to talk to her like her girlfriends do. So what? Wear sweatpants and giggle about how much you want Ryan Gosling to give you a stiff one? I don't think that'll convince her to sleep with you. But then the section after that is making a woman chase you, not appearing too clingy. It's like a perfect balance of good information and stupid crap, which is a better ratio than most of these other guys, to be quite honest. And then he gets a little creepy. Maybe I watched too many horror movies as a kid. When I hear build your dream woman, my mind goes to grave robbing and weird things done with flesh. Build a new identity, a new part. The classic example is the dancer name. Yeah, once you've cold read her and you've paced her current reality, you begin to introduce the self-image, the dancer's self-image. Yeah, that lasts until you get on the dance floor and make an ass of yourself. I understand the idea of fake it until you make it, but the reason I advise against doing that is because at some point you're going to have to, make it. One principle that will get you in with a woman every time. You need commonalities with her. Wow, I needed a book to know that. But then he ends the book with actual sex advice. Finally, a PUA who actually has sexual experience and can write about it. He gives a pretty decent rundown on how to penetrate a woman with your fingers. And I'm feeling nice today, so I'll end it on that high note. So that was intense, and he honestly makes me sad, because he's almost good. The sex stuff is legit, but then he goes off into Funky Town with the NLP and contrasting and flimming and fucking Hoonah. He could have been real good. And those truly are the saddest words in the English language. What could have been. I'm Larson Halleck. Keep on training. And now, a word from our sponsors. Hello, are you a fan of Larson Halleck and the Barbaric Gentleman? Of course you are, otherwise you wouldn't be watching. Would you like to help the channel grow? Would you like to help me out? If so, here's how you can. You can go to patreon.com/LarsonHalleck and join the ranks of these illustrious heroes. You can also go to www.paypal.me/LarsonHalleck to also donate some money. You can also buy my book. The Patreon, the PayPal, and the link to my book are all found in the video description. You can also follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. I no longer advertise my Gab because Gab sucks. Otherwise, enjoy, keep watching the videos, and spread the word.